Next slide, please. In 2002, Petricoin and Leota published an article called The Use of Proteomic Patterns in Serum to Identify Ovarian Cancer. As the name suggests, that article was a description of methods for exploiting protein patterns for early detection of ovarian cancer, preferably in the curable stage. The performance of that assay was remarkable, with sensitivity and specificity of about 100%. It seemed almost too good to be true. What was different about this and a lot of similar reports is that the two investigators both worked for the government and made the decision to post all of the information on the NIH webpage. And the result was an opportunity for people to do what everyone is hoping for or fears, which is to analyze the raw data. And the result were publications showing different results, publications by the original authors showing a reassessment of the original results, and a general call for rigor in method study of IVDs. Next slide. In September of 2003, the Office of In Vitro Diagnostics at FDA began publishing on its webpage a template outlining the summaries of its decision-making process for all moderate-risk devices. The decision summary currently consists of 18 components, which addresses regulatory niceties, provides information on analytical performance, on clinical performance. It does not have raw data, but it provides information on the design of the study and a summary of findings. And the initiative was actually fashioned after TurboTax, with the notion that we would provide a disk to all sponsors and they would simply fill in the blanks. That would standardize input, and it would be a little different than TurboTax because we would actually publish results. My understanding is the IRS doesn't do that. It's not as new as it sounds, next slide, because since the initiation of the device regulatory program, the high risk class 3 products do have descriptive information provided, so-called summary of safety and effectiveness for each approved product. It's not a template, but arose by any other name is arose, and this does include information on regulatory niceties, analytical and clinical performance, design, and data summaries. This is usually collaborative work between the sponsor and FDA. Next slide. And the idea is also not as crazy as it sounds, because there actually is a fairly strong scaffold, a network on which to base input that would standardize and allow for user-friendly transmission of data. The Clinical Lab Standards Institute has literally dozens of well-written voluntary standards. The International Standards Organization has a smaller number, but their standards tend to be mandatory, at least in Europe. And other government agencies, professional societies, there's published literature, the third-party payers, evidence-based practice groups, all contributing to a rich mix of trying to figure out how to tame the data at hand. In honest disclosure, no one says this is going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be easy. It seems like an incremental step at FDA would be for all their class 3s and for the high octane class 2s, they do ask for raw data, and it should just be put on the web. In about 2008, the OIVD recognized that there seemed to be an access to successes, so the successes are either appear on web page or in publications. Failures seem to be missing, and so they tried to launch an initiative where they would support a journal that was to be called the Journal of Negative Results, would publish only negative results, would thrive on failures, and would try to see what could be learned from failures. And there wasn't enough time or resources, so that initiative failed. There's not a lot of poetry written on this subject of clinical data sharing, but there is some. And I'd like to share with you next slide. One by Langston Hughes. Mr. Hughes, I doubt, was really an aficionado of clinical trials data sharing, but I suspect he was interested in the common good when he wrote, "I continue to dream. I take my dreams and make of them a bronze vase and a round fountain with a beautiful statue in its center, and a song with a broken heart. And I ask you, do you understand my dreams? Sometimes you say you do, and sometimes you say you don't. Either way, it doesn't matter. I continue to dream."
Thanks, Steve, and 30 seconds under time. Robert.